Hey everybody, welcome back to the Serving Pleasure Podcast.
Exotic Erotic.
With your hosts,
Wesley Corpola.
and Bailey Schultz.
Orientalism is a way of seeing that imagines, emphasizes, exaggerates, and distorts differences of African, Arab, and East Asian peoples and cultures as compared to that of the West.
It often involves seeing cultures as exotic, over-sexualized, backwards, uncivilized, and at times, dangerous.
Hello!
Hi! I just wanted to do that part just so there could be a conflicting rhythm with the end of the drums at the beginning.
Welcome back to Serving Pleasure Podcast.
Exotic Erotic
edition. Fragile. Handle with care. Some of you may have noticed
Where's episode 4?
I had many fans of the show come knocking on my door and demanding, chapter 4. What happened, Bailey?
I had many bricks fly through my window.
And then the messages, they just got more and more violent as the week went on.
The window shattered. I had to put up a piece of cardboard, and it tore through that. The next brick.
And then the cardboard shattered.
It shattered into glass.
Yeah, and you were always in the fallout. You folks, he's covered in cuts right now.
But I just
I can't even
pieces
see his
of
skin.
cardboard.
I can't even see skin. It's all just scab. You're one big scab right now.
So let's explain so I can heal and
they can heal, more importantly.
yeah, and so that you're not bothered just by the kind of,
Lack of professionalism that we've shown.
yeah.
So explain us.
Chapter 4, not a lot happened. It was kind of a boring chapter.
A good chapter for us to have real bad audio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the audio is so bad on it that it would be embarrassing to post.
You wouldn't have been able to sit through it, right?
All of you would have been keening throughout. So I've just been on a kick with keening lately. So we're just gonna cover some of the highlights of chapter 4.
All 3 of them.
Yeah, we're not gonna read any of it. We're just gonna mention the parts. So
If you really need to know,
buy the book.
Splurge the $2 on Amazon. Probably $1 if you have a Kindle.
Shipping will cost more.
Find a friend with Amazon Prime and get free 2-day shipping and read fucking chapter 4 and then send it back.
Exactly.
You won't be pleased. Just trust us.
Mm-hmm. Chapter 4 begins with the
reveal.
The reveal that the dead body is in fact Jasmine Jazz Rivers.
Well, I guess
It's highly implied, but
I guess there's never really any explicit statement, but it's her.
Yeah, they all assume it is.
It is.
All the characters assume it is, and that it is.
Yeah. So Holly reacts.
She tries to escape. It starts with her
With
trying
baby
to escape
Ben.
with
She
baby boy Ben.
Steals big baby boy Ben, tucks him in this. It's pouring out, and she wraps him in a sheet, which is just gonna
the sheet that was.
It's just gonna waterboard him.
Oh.
She covers him in the sheet, brings him out into the storm, gets about 2 feet out the door, and surprise, Sharif notices when the door opens.
Immediately, because it's
storming out.
Yes.
So he immediately's okay, gets up and leaves, and just runs into her, finds her right away.
Yeah.
Brings her back in. It was not a big deal.
It was very
But that was 4 pages, you guys. That is what chapter 4 was like.
And it was just Holly repeatedly saying, I need to escape from here.
Oh, but baby Ben, I can't leave Ben.
Well, yeah, what about baby Ben?
and
Because baby Ben is Sharif's son.
But he's all that's left of Jazz, and like Jazz left him with me, and but these weird feelings I'm having, like why do I want to touch him? Like,
and one of these people that were shooting Sharif will shoot me. I don't know.
Yeah, she's making it all about her.
And we got a little more background on Al-Qadar as well.
Yeah.
The primary resource of Al-Qadar is Juba cloth.
Juba cloth,
Juba
cloth, but
which is a very fine
apparently,
cloth.
and they're like coming up with a synthetic version of it.
Yeah, they're creating some like business deal in the West to like use the Juba cloth to like essentially make fine clothing.
So the most important thing that was revealed in chapter 4, however, was Cousin Amy has
a name
that's
that's not
a full
Amy.
name that's not Amy.
My cousin Amy. That's not her
That's
full
not
name.
her full name, which I'm shocked. I don't know about you guys.
It is Amina. Is that how you pronounce it?
I mean, I'm guessing
Amina?
if they call her Amy, I want to say that it's Amina. Like, why else would they
Amina.
shorten it to Amy?
Yeah.
If it was Amin, I feel like they just call her Ami. But maybe we're saying it wrong.
Maybe
She's
we
got
are.
a name.
Not a Western name either, like we assumed.
That's just like weird.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I'm like glad that
And
that's at least a
He
thing.
mentioned that name, like the full name, and then he went
back to
just calling her my cousin Amy, because as if Holly has no idea if you just call her
Oh yeah, it was like 2 paragraphs later he referred to her as my cousin Amy. Like, you can just call her Amy now.
We all know Holly wouldn't be like,
Woo!
wait, who's Amy again?
Yeah.
Oh, my cousin Amy. Yeah, and it ends with just Holly once again saying, like, I'm in for some mixed feelings with Sharif. I don't know how to feel about him. He's my captor, but he's sexy.
Yeah, and then the other thing that happened was they just decided because they were gonna go to the police the next day, but because Jazz was found dead, Sharif thinks that it's too risky to go to the police now because he's too high on the suspect list.
Yeah.
So they're gonna lay low for a little while, aka our plot will continue to go in this
nowhere.
Yeah, it's like not really anywhere.
It's like just a roundabout that they just keep circling around.
Like, are they gonna be at the safe house like this whole time? Maybe.
Well, there's a map. I feel like
Yes, the map.
I feel like there has to be other locations, or else why the hell would they provide a map for you to like follow along?
Yeah. But okay, let's move right into chapter 5 now.
What's the episode title of this?
Today's episode is called Cherry Blossoms.
The Cherry Blossoms.
The Cherry Blossoms. And you'll see.
It'll all make sense.
Okay. Chapter 5. It took Zahad only a minute to pry open the back door and turn off the security system at the Crestline View Clinic. He'd been here 3 times before. First to check out the place before recommending it to Sharif, then to deliver a specimen essential to concept. Then to deliver a specimen essential to conception, and again 2 months ago in an attempt to locate the surrogate. On the 3rd visit, he deliberately arrived before the clinic opened and made a point of waiting for the clinic director near the back door. Surprised to find him there, she'd entered her password into the alarm system right in front of him. He was glad to find she hadn't changed it in the interim. He hadn't been certain he would ever need the password, but it was a point of pride with Zahad to foresee and circumvent difficulties. His failure to notice the security camera yesterday still stung. One mistake had nearly ruined everything. I can't believe that was just yesterday. The rear entrance opened into a dim corridor smelling of antiseptic. His sneakers made no noise on the carpet as he passed the lab and a couple of examining rooms. Medical facilities kept locked cabinets for their medications, but he didn't bother with those. If what he sought existed, it would be in Mrs. Wheaton's office. An hour ago, Zahad had been busy laying in supplies at a 24-hour store. At a 24-hour store. He'd had no plans to come here until he heard on the radio that the dead woman in the desert had been identified as Hannah Jasmine Rivers. Okay, well, there's our closure. It was now 6:37 a.m. Neither Mrs. Wheaton, her physician partner, nor the rest of the staff was likely to arrive before 8:30, according to his previous observations. The clinic opened at 9. The clinic director had begun avoiding Zahad's phone calls 1 month ago, which he now knew was when the baby had appeared at Holly River's home. He needed to find the connection. If someone had threatened Mrs. Wheaton into silence, she might have written down some clue to the person's identity. Zahad preferred to avoid contacting the woman directly. She might be under surveillance by either the police or the killer, or she might be involved in a scheme herself. Until he knew who posed a threat, he dared not proceed with arrangements for their return to Al-Qadar. Someone could be lying in wait, possibly someone they trusted. Even in the dim morning light, he had no trouble reading Mrs. Wheaton's name on the office door. His tools, readily manipulated through his surgical gloves, made short work of the lock. Inside, Zahad flicked on his flashlight. The office was of modest size and sparsely furnished with a pine desk and a matching file cabinet. The framed certificates on the walls were too small to hide a safe, and besides, he doubted Mrs. Wheaton would have gone to great lengths to hide a note. His hope was that, like many professionals, she had the habit of jotting down the names of her callers and the nature of their business. The desk wasn't locked. The first 2 drawers he discovered when he prowled through them contained stationery supplies, invoices, receipts, and lists of government regulations. In the 3rd drawer lay a messy stack of used memo pads. Glancing at them, Zahad saw that Noreen doodled as she spoke. Most of the small pages were decorated with images of women's faces.
I was hoping that there would be a drawer that he opened that was just like her candy stash. And then...
Or just like human teeth.
Or just babies. Let's read on.
Let's read on. Despite his urgency, handling the papers through surgical gloves slowed him. FYI, he's wearing surgical gloves. Although he read English well, it took a while to adjust to scanning messy handwritten notes by flashlight. At last a phrase caught his eye. Jazz knows. The handwriting slanted so unevenly that he had to squint to decipher the rest. Stall them. What was it that Jasmine had discovered? Whom had Mrs. Wheaton been instructed to stall? Zahad had a strong suspicion he knew the answer to the last question, but he tucked the note into his windbreaker pocket and continued reading through the stack. He needed more. Who had called Noreen? What was so important that Jasmine had been murdered over it? Outside, a car rumbled into the driveway. Headlights raked the window. By the digital clock on the desk, it was 6:58. Could someone be coming on duty already? Adrenaline began to pump as the vehicle halted and the engine died. 2 doors slammed. Through the blinds, he peered into the light rain. Although the people were out of sight, Zahad made out the blue and white markings of a Harborview police car. He shoved the drawer shut and scooted from the office. Which entrance would the newcomers use? Most likely the back, the same way he'd come, but if he guessed wrong, he would run right into them. Inside his pocket, his phone pulsed. He couldn't pause to answer it. In the corridor, he braced himself, listening intently. Oh, that's, Sharif. Remember he was calling him before anyone answered?
Oh,
This
yeah.
is why.
Oh, wow, the time that it overlaps.
Yeah, that's impressive. From outside the back door, a woman's voice said, "Her car isn't in its reserved space, officer. I can't imagine what's happened. You saw the mess at her condo." From outside the back door, a woman's voice said, "Her car isn't in its reserved space, officer. I can't imagine what's happened. You saw the mess at her condo."
"You're certain Miss Wheaton didn't live with anyone?"
A man's voice inquired. "Yes." Keys jingled.
"Was it like her to bring someone home to spend the night?"
"No. Besides, I always pick her up for breakfast on Tuesdays. They have a pancake special at the coffee shop down the street." A key scraped. "Gee."
Yeah, try doing that.
"Gee, the door's open. I wonder." Zahad made a dash for the front. There was no point in trying to sneak out. At this point, any policeman worth his salt would suspect there'd been a break-in. When he pushed the safety bar and went out, he half expected to run into reinforcements, but the sidewalk was empty. It took all his self-control to close the door quietly, strip off his gloves, and toss them into the nearest trash dumpster. Crestline Avenue's 4 lanes carried sparse traffic at this hour. As he sauntered across the street, Zahad shrugged deep into his windbreaker, hunkering down against the weather and hiding his face. Diagonally opposite stood a convenience store that sold coffee and donuts. Zahad had parked behind it in an alley, hoping that at this early hour no one would notice his pickup truck with its camper shell. Ducking into the store, he skirted the front mat to avoid setting off a bell and pretended to study a rack of magazines near the front window. The clerk was busy pouring coffee for a man in blue overalls. Another man sat eating a donut at a small table, facing away from Zahad. Another police car came down the street, its siren wailing as it turned into the clinic parking lot. The police had gone onto full alert. No wonder. Their placid town had just suffered a double kidnapping, the death of a missing resident, and now... ... Judging by what he'd overheard, Noreen Wheaton's condo had been ransacked, and she was unaccounted for. Had she staged her own disappearance? Or been abducted, perhaps killed? Zahad could see no obvious connection to Sharif's enemies. Yet, because the Sheikh's son had been conceived at the clinic, he couldn't discount such a possibility. He was no closer to knowing the truth than he had been an hour ago, and there were 3 policemen fanning out from the front of the clinic. One of them started toward the convenience store. Through the glass, his gaze met Zahad's. You don't need to tell me what happened. It's made the TV, even here in Boston. Both of your faces were on the evening news. Stealing a bride and a baby? Aren't you ashamed? The sharp edge of Amy Haroon's tongue could be felt across the continent. Sharif wondered why he hadn't noticed before how much his cousin, when angry, sounded like their Aunt Salima chewing out a dishonest fishmonger.
Amy, I need you,
he said into the phone, hoping to cut off the tirade. You don't need me. You need a lawyer.
Listen.
Switching from English to Bahawralik, he told her about the discovery of Jazz's body. As he talked, he kept watching the clearing outside the cabin for Zahad. It was past 8:30 a.m. Several more calls to his aide had gone unanswered. Holly had given the baby a bath and changed him into warm pajamas. Now she sat before the fire, crooning to the infant. Auburn hair framed her heart-shaped face as she sang a lullaby. Ben cooed and waved his hands as if trying to sing along. It was obvious that she and the child loved each other. Sharif hated to hurt her by taking his son away, but he needed to get Ben to safety. First, however, he needed to make sure where safety lay. With Amy, he hoped. So, Zahad has pulled a disappearing act, and you are stuck in the woods with another man's wife-to-be, grumbled his cousin. And you want me to come there and rescue you?
Not rescue me, just the baby,
he said.
I will take care of myself.
As if you have done such a wonderful job so far, she said. From her agitated tone, he could imagine Amy plucking out one of her jeweled combs and skimming back her dark hair. It was a nervous habit so ingrained that she sometimes absent-mindedly tried it while wearing a headscarf.
But you will come,
he said quietly.
You are one of the few people on this earth I trust completely.
Here is what I will do. Even in Bahawralik, her voice revealed a hint of an English accent. Like Zahad, Amy had studied in Britain rather than America. It was in London that she'd met her husband, Harry. I forgot the word. I will fly to Los Angeles and secure an attorney for you. Then I will take the baby.
Thank you,
he said. Do let me know when our mutual friend turns up, will you? She added. Perhaps he has gone to kidnap a bride of his own.
I do think so.
Sharif couldn't help but smile at the idea of his no-nonsense aide waxing romantic.
I look forward to seeing you, my cousin Amy. No, it's just Amy.
Oh, we have fun. After she rang off, he tried Zahad's number again. This time it clicked after 3 rings as if someone had answered.
Zahad?
He said.
Is it you?
A burst of static, and then nothing. Sharif's heart rate accelerated. What did such a response mean after his calls had gone unanswered all morning? Mobile phones could be unreliable. Ordinarily, he would have called Zahad right back. It was possible, however, that the phone had fallen into the wrong hands. Because the recipient might have accidentally disconnected while trying to trace the call, he couldn't risk redialing.
We need to leave.
he told Holly.
Quickly! Something may have happened to Zahad. It would not be like him to reveal where we are, but we must take no chances.
To her credit, she didn't ask a lot of questions. Only, where can we go without a car? He'd forgotten that handicap. Why had he ever allowed Zahad to leave him here without transport? In retrospect, the Sheikh could see that he'd been too preoccupied with his son to weigh all the possibilities.
The rain's easing,
he noted, and immediately reproached himself for sounding like an idiot. They were miles from the nearest shops, and even if they managed to walk that far, then what? The two of them, muddy and carrying a baby, would be about as conspicuous on foot in this region as they would be riding camels.
A cab? No, I fear not. They will be the first ones notified to watch for us.
I could ask a friend to pick us up, Holly said. Of course, it was the obvious solution. Perhaps too obvious. Was she trying to trick him? A few hours ago she'd done her best to flee. Sharif stared across the cabin into her honest brown eyes. Against his best intentions, he'd developed a sense of closeness with this woman. Besides, under the circumstances, he had to trust her. Not only did she offer their only chance of escape, but eventually he would need Holly's testimony to clear him of kidnapping. He handed her the phone and carried the baby to the bed.
Who will you call?
he asked. The first person who came to mind was Trevor. Since her teen years, it was on him that Holly had relied for advice and support. Creepy.
Yeah.
But the police would be tapping his phone. Plus, she could hardly ask her fiancé to help her protect Sharif after he'd made a shambles of their wedding. Oddly, she felt only mild embarrassment about the chaos she'd left behind at the church. Shouldn't she be heartbroken at the interruption of her plans and anxious to return for her wedding night? Instead, this cabin had become her refuge, a place where she'd discovered sensual feelings that were new to her, a place where she, Sharif, and Ben seemed almost like a family. In any case, she couldn't call Trevor. If nothing else, as a lawyer, he was an officer of the court. With no attorney-client privilege involved, he would have to notify the authorities. Alice, she said aloud.
Who?
The Sheikh asked as he resumed his post by the window. My boss at the salon, she explained. She was my matron of honor.
The older lady at the church?
He said.
Are you certain she would help you?
She loves Ben like a grandmother, Holly said. She'd do anything to keep him safe. So would I. She tried not to think about what the safety would require, never seeing her nephew again. Leaving his upbringing to a woman she'd never met, the one Sharif had been talking to in that strange language. The man's jaw worked.
The police are likely monitoring her phone. Is there some way to reach her that they might not anticipate?
Holly visualized the salon 20 minutes before opening time. Alice would be there along with most of the staff, setting up their stations and drinking coffee. Marta has a cell phone, she said. She's the other manicurist. If I can just remember her number. She'd needed it whenever Jazz took off unexpectedly for a gig, to arrange for Marta to cover the extra hours. Not even the indulgent Alice could be expected to tolerate a manicurist standing-up clients, and Holly hadn't wanted her sister to lose her job. The number came back to her, and she dialed. She waited tensely through a couple of rings until Marta answered. I need to talk to Alice, she said without preamble. Holly, is that you? The manicurist's voice rose an octave. Yes, don't say anything to anyone. Is she there? You bet. Away from the phone, a few excited words were exchanged, and then Alice came on the line. Is it who I think it is? She demanded. Are you all right? How's Ben? He's fine. Listen, where are you? Alice, please listen, Holly said. Her employer was too overwrought to comply. Did you hear about Jazz? It's so horrible. Yes, I did, she said. That Sheikh, has he hurt you? Did you get away? Things aren't what they seem. Holly could see that Alice would never cooperate unless she understood the basic situation, so she didn't beat around the bush. The Sheikh is Ben's father. What? A shocked silence fell. Whoever killed Jazz may also be trying to kill us, she went on. Someone shot at our car yesterday. I can't explain the whole thing, but we need your help. Does Trevor know what's going on? Alice interjected. What about the police? No, they don't, and they mustn't find out yet. Holly could see this wasn't going to be as easy as she hoped. We have to stay in hiding. From the window, the Sheikh signaled her urgently.
Hang up! Someone's here.
We've got an emergency. I'll call you back, Holly said. Don't you or Marta talk to anybody until you hear from me. This is life or death, Alice. In the ensuing pause, she sensed that her friend was wavering. Finally, Alice said, If I don't hear from you in half an hour, I'm calling the cops.
Hurry!
Said Sharif. I'll call you as soon as I can. She pressed end and, obeying the Sheikh's gestures, flattened herself against the wall. Who is it?
A pickup truck.
Then, with relief,
It's Zahad.
he observed for a moment longer.
I don't see anyone following him. Just in case, take the baby into the bathroom.
Although his advice made sense, Holly's nerves wouldn't take much more. I'm not cowering and hiding. If it's safe enough for you, it's safe enough for me.
I mean,
Did
does
she not get that he said for the baby?
Yeah, but I mean, does the advice even make that much sense? Like,
Go to the bathroom.
if the police show up, they're like,
Oh, they'll never look in there.
where is that baby? I guess we checked everywhere but the bathroom.
But there's no... Who would put a baby in a bathroom?
Let's
That is
just
just
go.
silly. Let's just get out of here.
Baby's not here.
When she'd told Alice not to call the police, she realized it meant she'd accepted the argument that the authorities couldn't guarantee her safety or Ben's. She'd thrown in her lot with the Sheikh, and she intended to be his equal partner, not a tag-along.
Keep the baby back.
He muttered. Through the window, she watched the dark-haired man approach along the edge of the woods, stopping several times to observe the cabin and the surroundings through the mist. Now that he'd shaved his beard and mustache, Holly wasn't sure she would have recognized him. Sharif rapped several times on the window in an apparent code, then went to the door. Holly's real sharp. When his cousin came inside, he stared at Holly in surprise.
Why did you untie her? I needed her help with the baby.
The Sheikh spoke abruptly, as if unwilling to reveal that they had formed the beginnings of a friendship, if, indeed, they had.
Were you also forced to remove her clothing?
Zahad asked, scrutinizing Holly. Oh, what a dog.
Whoa! 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 Whoa!
She shrank inside the oversized shirt. Until now, her bare legs hadn't bothered her, but the newcomer's presence made her uncomfortable. My gown got dirty. Not wanting to explain that she'd tried to flee through the mud, she added, It isn't easy caring for a baby, you know.
So the women of the palace tell me.
She could have sworn a smile tugged at the corners of Zahad's mouth, but he quickly resumed his customary stern expression.
It is a good thing I anticipated that you would need new garments. Why did you not answer your phone?
Sharif asked.
It was too dangerous.
From a shoulder bag, the aide began unloading baby supplies, food, hair dye, and some folded clothing.
I went to the clinic. No, Noreen Wheaton has disappeared and the police are looking for her.
Disappeared? Holly said. The man nodded.
Her condo was ransacked. Also at the clinic about this.
He handed a note to Sharif, who read it aloud.
Jazz knows. Stall them. What is this? I found no name and no explanation, but it would appear that someone called and informed Miss Wheaton of a change in their circumstances.
Zahad said.
My guess is that it happened when the baby turned up. This is not likely to be the work of Mabon's followers.
Sharif observed.
No, but it has complicated our situation.
The aide grimaced.
Heaven knows what else has transpired that we may also be suspected of. One could hardly imagine that claiming one baby would become so complicated.
Who knew that they'd try and retrieve it?
Or that someone would try and fight for the baby.
Yeah. I'm surprised you could get in and out of the clinic without being caught, she said.
That is what is ahead of my security chief.
Sharif said.
The man never ceases to amaze me.
Whatever. He just saw the woman punch in a code one time and it wasn't changed, and he picked one lock. They're making it sound like he's... Jesus. Okay. Zahad ducked his head, as if embarrassed by the praise.
At a store nearby, a policeman questioned me, but only as a possible witness.
He said.
By good luck, another customer mistook me for someone he had seen come into his shop 10 minutes earlier. As a result, I was able to leave before anyone connected me to the abductor who was all over TV.
He went back to the truck and returned with more supplies, along with a couple of guns. Sharif regarded them with distaste, but did not object.
Also, I bought a motorcycle for myself.
Zahad said.
It's in the truck, which I will leave with you, Sharif. Not that either of us will be going very far today.
You think it's too dangerous to try to leave the country?
The Sheikh asked.
Indeed, yes. Perilous both to cross the border and to return home.
He said.
Until we find out what's going on, we might never make it as far as the palace. We cannot discount the possibility that Noreen decided to double-cross us by selling out to our enemies, or that there is a conspiracy against you that reaches to high places in Al-Qadar.
Holly shuddered. How had her sister gotten involved with such dangerous people?
Amy is coming as soon as she can catch a flight.
The Sheikh said.
Once big baby boy Ben is gone, I can take greater risks.
What makes you so sure that these people won't shoot at Amy too? Holly blurted. It seems to me you're ignoring your best resource, which is me. I knew my sister as well as anyone. Maybe I can help you find out what happened, who she might have confided in, that kind of thing.
You did not even know she was a surrogate.
Sharif pointed out. Well, I know who her friends are. Some of them anyway. Holly was already beginning to regret her bravado as Zahad frowned at her. There's Griff, for instance. He's the one who brought Ben to me.
The police have no doubt already questioned him,
The aide said. If they can find him. Holly hadn't been close to the scruffy musician, but she'd known him for a long time. He has a drug conviction, and he claims the police set him up. He doesn't trust them.
And you think you could find this man?
Sharif asked. I have to call Alice back anyway, Holly said. She might have Griff's pager number. Jazz gave it to her so she could hire his band to play at a party last 4th of July.
Very well.
Sharif said.
It is worth a try, considering that we have no other leads at the moment.
Could you imagine booking a band via pager?
Amateurs have a great talent for screwing things up,
said Zahad. Do you think Griff would talk to you? She shot back. I doubt it.
This woman is strong-willed,
he told Sharif.
She reminds me of Amy.
Their cousin.
Oh, that's their cousin?
Yes.
Oh, wow. They should add that to the text.
They should have, I don't remember everyone.
Hard to remember.
To Holly, he said.
That is not a compliment.
Burn. She turned to the Sheikh. I like your cousin already.
Ooh.
Seeing his puzzled expression, she added, I mean Amy, of course.
Oh, not Zahad. Okay.
Zahad laughed.
Amy's a cousin, huh?
When a woman seizes upon a course of action, you might as well stand in the path of an armored tank. Well, I have brought some clone phones. To reduce the chance of our being traced, use one of them and beep beep.
Holly took the one he handed her. It went against her ethics to use a stolen cell phone number, but she didn't see that she had much choice.
I will go and load the motorcycle.
Zahad started out.
I help.
Sharif moved to join him. Boys will be boys.
Motorcycles.
You plan to leave her in here with the phone? Heaven knows who she will call.
I have faith in him.
The other man began to protest in the alien language,
Oh.
but Sharif stood his ground. At last the two went out together. Holly stared at the phone. Zahad was right. She could call Alice as she'd promised and help Sharif contact Griff. Or she could call the police. It boiled down to a question of whom she trusted most. End of chapter 5.
Wow, this book is really turning into like a thriller.
It's like a mystery. It's not like a... Where's the romance?
Yeah.
Where's the smut?
It's only been.
It's still way too tame for there to be any smut in the next couple chapters. We gotta build up to it a little bit more, I'm thinking.
Hey, but the chance of Sheikh and Holly having sex while driving the motorcycle, that idea
went way up.
Yeah.
Went way up from what it was before when there was no motorcycle.
Yeah, I would buy those stocks.
Yeah. So, that's good. Okay, so, Zahad had a close call there.
Yeah.
Got some information. Noreen's being a little bit shady.
Her condo's been ransacked.
Her condo.
Her poor condo.
I hope we find out more about the condo. I wonder if it has a deck. But so that's weird. I was really wanting to make her Russian, but apparently some random other person who works at the surrogacy clinic is a Russian now, and I'll have to come up with another voice for Noreen if she's not dead.
You just threw away that accent.
It wasn't that good. Say it.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But, I don't know, what do you think of the chapter overall?
I mean, it was better than chapter 4, trust us.
Yeah, I felt in this one there was definitely, like, character development.
Yeah, at least we bounced around and had a couple different things going on.
I mean, in the vein of a thriller, we're, like, starting to figure out, like, their dynamics as a group.
Yeah.
Like, Amy is kind of Amy's filling in the role of, like, who they call up for, like, resources and help.
She's really dependable, and, like, she gets mad at them because they're bumbling idiots. And...
Yeah, she was out there.
But you know, she's got it.
Yeah.
And then, and Zahad is, I like the relationship between Zahad and Holly.
Yeah, but
their banter.
Yeah, they're not getting along, and Sheikh has to keep them at bay.
Keep the peace.
Yeah.
I liked the little, did you have to take her clothes off too?
Yeah.
That was
wink,
a little
wink
bit sassy of Zahad.
That Zahad will have sex with Holly.
Like, you're just an aide. Maybe watch your mouth to the Sheikh. You know?
Well, I guess he has to find a way to hint to the fact of the forthcoming threesome that will happen between the three of them.
Ew, that's incesty. They're cousins.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be on the motorcycle, so, I mean...
Oh, that does negate incest. That's true.
Because it's so awesome.
It's so awesome that in a court of law,
like,
that holds.
It's, like, so hard to, like, continue thinking about
it's like,
the fact that they're family.
Every single time you tell me it, by the end of the sentence, once you say the word motorcycle, I will have forgotten the fact that they are cousins without fail. Every single time.
So awesome. Like, is a sidecar involved? That's what I'm wondering.
If it's a threesome, there's gotta be.
Or someone could be sitting on the handles. I don't know.
Never done it. You know.
I've only drawn pictures of it.
I have drawn a lot of pictures of it, though.
Sketchbooks filled.
But never with cousins, so that.
Or a Sheikh.
Or a sidecar.
Or a motorcycle.
Oh, and where's Baby Ben? Maybe the sidecar's for Baby Ben. Well, okay, I don't like this conversation.
No, yeah, I don't like this. I don't know. Overall, I thought the chapter was good. It was a step in the right direction, although there was, like, the occasional, just, like, poor choice of words, like the alien language.
Yikes. Oh, yeah.
Alien.
I even grimaced when earlier they called it, what was it, like, that, it was like that. She used another adjective for it at first, and even that was condescending, but alien, oh.
And I don't know, I'm becoming very charmed by the very ham-fisted use of language occasionally. Like, everything sounds pretty natural, but then occasionally just like someone says something a little too
thesaurus-y.
Thesaurus-y, that it's just distraction.
Oh my gosh.
I look forward to those. Those are little candies found throughout the book.
Treats.
Besides all the xenophobia that's found throughout. But as, you know, Donald Trump said earlier this week at a rally, how many people know what xenophobia means? I mean, really. So it doesn't matter, right?
That negates what it is. So
Who cares? No one knows what it means.
So it does not have any effect on anyone.
Yeah, no one cares. No
Who
one
knows?
cares.
Who knows?
He's
Literally,
not even denying he's
lit-
xenophobic.
literally no one knows what it means. Isn't that crazy?
No one knows what it means. It's from a dead language.
English.
Rip. Alright, well, this has been the end of the Cherry Blossoms, and wow,
Boy, did that make
a boatload of sense.
yeah. and we will do our best to not leave you ever again.
And if we do,
I mean-
it will be just as abrupt, and you'll never hear back from us again.
But you know what? Like, you probably have families or something, so maybe hang out with them.
Yeah, maybe stop being such a baby over
Like,
us.
it's a podcast, but we love you and please never stop listening.
But, like, stop listening
But have
if
other
you're such
things
a
in your
baby.
life.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't care.
Yeah.
Just
This is for us.
grow up.
We
Bye.
love you.